I've been doing Dorohedoro for like months now, and for some reason it still surprises me that this is like my most consistently censored manga that I've ever done. Even more than Berserk. Welcome to Dorohedoro. So En is dead, and Nikaido and Chota and Judas's ear are all missing. And with the house in complete disorder, Shin and Noi are going to decide to go looking for everybody. The professor finds his wife, and we see Curse going somewhere. When suddenly Turkey shows up, and he's going to make an En doll. Just like he made a Risu doll when Risu was missing, now we're going to make an En doll. And suddenly the doll takes off on a broom, and now the chase is on. So basically we're right on into this one, and basically it wastes no time just barreling right ahead with all the forward momentum that it had already established in the last one. But we do get a section here where we finally get to see why Nikaido refuses to use her magic. But we get to see that when she was a child and she was basically an orphan and she was raised with her kind of pseudo siblings and whatnot, the one sibling was found in a basket that was going down the river. And when she uses her magic, she goes back in time and she meets her parents, and she distracts her parents just long enough that they don't see the basket going down the river. And then when she goes back forward in time, her sibling that she was raised with isn't there and nobody remembers them, and she finds a gravestone of this mysterious child that never had a name. So she has to live with the fact that she remembers growing up with and sharing everything with this person, and nobody else does, and that person's now dead, and it's her fault. Which, if you actually pause long enough to like think of the implications of that scenario, is awful. And I think it would make anyone pretty much never want to use their magic ever again. Mixed right into the middle of all the comedy of this, it's pretty heartbreaking. But anyway, now she's going to wake up with Kawajiri, and Kawajiri healed her with smoke, and that actually worked because En is dead and En's magic can no longer affect her. And he's going to basically at this point give her a pep talk and really get her ramped up and revved up and really try to convince her that it's time for her to let the past go and learn to use her magic again. Now the Cross Eyes gang is going to go out looking for their boss at the exact same time that Shin and Noi are following the doll. And the doll and Shin and Noi are going to arrive at the boss's place at the exact same time that the Cross Eyes show up. And the Cross Eyes pretty much get their asses handed to them, as you would kind of expect. Actually, I don't know why you would expect that, because they did pretty good the last time. They really kind of fucked up Shin and Noi, didn't they? Because this time Shin and Noi are ready for them, and they know which parts of their body to protect from them, although Dokuga does do pretty damn well. Like, he goes toe-to-toe with Shin for a pretty long time. But Shin gets him in the end, though. But that little girl with the one cross on her eye runs ahead and gets to the boss just in time to kill the En doll. Also, somewhere in there, Shin and Noi find En's severed head. And then she wakes the boss up just in time for him to say that my name is Kai, which is suspiciously close to both I and Kaiman. So if I's name is really Kai, does that make him the Kai man? Anyway, at this point, the boss then comes out and turns Shin and Noi into a pile of mushrooms with En's smoke that he somehow now has. And now just like a whole bunch of ridiculously crazy shit happens, which is kind of par for the course for the ends of these little paper volumes that I don't have out. Oh, shoot. Hold on. Okay, now I feel better. Which is kind of par for the course for the ends of these volumes. They're getting increasingly just ridiculous. Like 10 things will happen in the span of like a page and a half. So the professor shows up just now, but also so does Curse. And then Curse goes to attack, but the professor's wife decides to sing a song, which makes Curse run away. And then the professor and his wife immediately fly away. And all of that really just happened so that Curse could threaten the boss. Anyway, at this point, the story's going to jump forward a month. And now the Cross Eyes have completely taken over. They've moved on into En's mansion, and all of En's crew is now in hiding, because if they are found, they will basically be killed. Also, Kaiman / Aikawa is now going back to his old life, or at least attempting to, and he's going to go back and he's going to re-enroll himself in Sorcerer's School, and he's hanging out with Risu. But Risu looks pretty rough, and he's having like nightmares or flashbacks or something. He looks like he's having some real complications due to having Curse back. And now we're going to flash over to Noi, and Noi's being watched over by the Invisible Man. And he's been a member of the group for the entire time. He's actually one of the older members of the group, but nobody remembers him because not only does his power make him invisible, but it makes his presence so thin that people don't even remember him. Which at first felt like kind of a cheap excuse for introducing a new character and pretending like he was an old character and he'd been there all along. But it also very quickly became like a running joke in the volume that people would be introduced to him and he'd remind them that who he was, and then within like the same conversation they would turn to him and be like, wait, who are you? Like, it turned into a running joke that was probably my favorite running joke for this whole volume. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I guess we should all just have faith in Q. But anyway, he's going to take her to Shin, and she's going to immediately heal him, proving that she's actually a little bit more powerful than even the Invisible Man was aware of. Also, we get to see a quick flash to Chota, and he's like literally trapped up in the top of a tree with all of his limbs broken, and he's like emaciated down to a skeleton, which is kind of awful but kind of hilarious all at the same time, which makes us probably bad people, or at least me. We also get to see the En's group is actually in hiding, although all hope is not lost because they still have En's head, but En's head is missing its devil tumor. So, all they have to do is locate the devil tumor, put the devil tumor back into En's head, then have En's body put back together, then have the body healed by Noi, then they need to find Judas's ear and have Judas's ear resurrect En. No big deal! Speaking of Judas's ear, the little girl with the one cross on her eye is out tracking Judas's ear down when she's going to run into Ibisu, and Ibisu's going to attack her, unlocking her magical power, which is whatever the fuck this thing is. Now jump to Risu and Kaiman, or Aikawa, and Aikawa Kaiman is still having nightmares. Now Kawajiri's going to start Nikaido's training in using her magic, which apparently requires her to wear a suit of heavy armor. And also, in order to teach her how to use her magic, they're going to require a book. But this book is in En's mansion, where the cross eyes are. So we're going to have to break in and take it. And in order to do that, we're going to have to disguise ourselves, which requires them to swap genders. Which, might I add, Kawajiri makes kind of a cute girl. Now, at the exact same time that Kawajiri and Nikaido are going to attempt to break into En's mansion, Risu's trying to figure out who killed him, and Kaiman's following him. So we're all going to end up at the same place at the same time, again, as usual. It's pretty, it's just kind of what this manga does at this point, isn't it? We're all on different missions that somehow magically take us to the same place. And okay, and just like the end of the last volume, like I just said, every single person in the entire manga somehow ends up in the same place. Some really crazy shit happens, and we're going to kind of speed run the important parts. Sorry. Okay, so what's important here? Nikaido and Kawajiri end up getting the book. Nikaido runs into Kaiman, Curse faces off against the One Patch Girl and her new power, and then everyone gets away. The volume then ends with some super cryptic shit. Kaiman runs away because his head hurts, and then it looks like his head explodes off and a new one grows to replace it. And then the girl with the one cross eye is going to run into the boss. He's going to make out with her, and then he's going to kill her and stuff her underneath a statue. The end. Like, what just happened to Kaiman? Why'd the boss kill the little girl? What? I don't know. I really don't know. It's just par for the course at this point. I don't expect to understand any of the endings of this. At this point, I'm not so sure that the ending of the whole thing's going to be cohesive and make any sense. But you know, it's okay. All right, so with this all said and done, where are we at here? I think for 12 and 13 here, I'm starting to feel, even though it consistently changes, even though we're not stuck in some endless loop of doing the same thing over and over and over again, every volume has a new thing. Every volume has something else going on. Every volume's adding new characters and new scenarios and new situations. N is dead. And, all of this stuff, even with all of the change that happens in this manga, it's still starting to feel almost like it drags. Almost like all of that crazy forward momentum is slowing down to the point where I feel like we could be doing, or maybe even should be doing more, or at least moving along quicker. Like, I feel like at this point, it feels unnecessarily drawn out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep it at an 8, which is what the last read-through was, because it consistently surprises me. And like I said earlier, I'm just kind of putting my faith in Kyu Hayashida and her ability to make this work. Like with the introduction of the Invisible Man, which I thought I wasn't going to like, and I ultimately ended up liking it. So even though I feel like this is really struggling to hold on to its 8, and I almost gave it a 7.5, I'm going to let it keep its 8 for now. Because I'm putting my faith in Kyu Hayashida and her ability to pull this through. It might just be a mid-book slump. It might just be me not connecting with these particular volumes. And an 8 still, let's be honest, an 8 still excellent. But it really almost dipped down into the 7s for this read-through for me. Like I said, I just felt like it was dragging a little bit more than it has in the past. Hopefully it picks back up. Hopefully it goes back to being like just 8s and 9s and everything I love. Anyway, as always, do not forget that the link for my Discord is in the description below. The link for my Patreon is in the description below. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.